we'll talk about our upcoming topic.
I'm someone who is very transparent about the links between what we study and who we are.
Oh, because there's a bonus.
And how our life questions, personal questions, affect the work that we do. One is annihilation, one is human reproduction. Human reproduction is gendered. Because we are subject and subjective beings.
In Turkey, right?
When were we last in Turkey?
2 years ago at least.
2 years ago. We haven't been there long.
So I did give birth to my daughters during the process that I was studying both genocide and the feminist movement and the post-genocide Istanbul community. I thought I was going to write the history of Armenian women's movement, except it occurred to me when I started reading the primary sources itself that 1919, the year this journal begins, is inevitably post-genocide. I would ask my father this question, like, why did they stay? So my father's answer would be, because it's their home. I spent 10 years of thinking about this, and he just explains in like 3 words. So I grew up in Istanbul in the 80s, up until mid-90s. And the assumption when we met a Turkish person, randomly, wherever it might be, is that that person would like us as Lerna, or as my father, as my mother, as persons, but they would have some sort of anti-Armenian feelings as our group, against our group, right? So it's not the feeling that these people don't know much about you and they have negative stereotypes about the group that you belong to is very familiar to me. I mean, that's what minorities are accustomed to in most cultures, right? And that sounds like a dilemma or paradox, but it is so naturalized. It was normal. Because I'm one of them. I mean, I really can pass as Turkish fully. We don't have visible differences. I don't have an accent in Turkish. I am literate in so many senses of the word, in the Turkish culture, Turkish music, everything I enjoy. I'm very relatable. I could have been a Turk as well. I learned this thing called feminism because I was in a dance club also. I started continued folk dances at the college level, so we started dancing Kurdish, Balkan, Laz and Armenian dances and Turkish dances, folk dances, and the group that I was engaged in also had a feminist parallel group. So with this Turkish college circles, we started learning about the history of the Ottoman and Turkish women's movement. And at one point it dawned on me that all these works that are about the history of the Ottoman women's movement, they were talking only about Muslim Turkish women historical actors, despite the fact that Armenians, Greeks, Jews were also Ottoman. And that led me to thinking that maybe they too had some kind of a women's movement at one point. I did not mean to study the genocide, or the broader community, actually. I only wanted to see how these women formulated their demands, if they were successful or not, these feminists in the past, what were the obstacles that they faced. But I was shocked, naively shocked, to see that for the first few years of this journal's publication, similar to all other publications in Armenian of that time, they only talk about what had just happened, which is a rather annihilation, like almost complete annihilation of their group. They are the survivors. So I ended up writing a history of Armenians who remained in Turkey in the immediate post-genocide era. The question became this: what does it feel to live amongst a perpetrating majority who continues to not to want you?
The murder of Hrant Dink, one of Turkey's best-known journalists who spoke out against the mass killing of Armenians a century ago, has been condemned in Turkey itself and around the world.
One of the reasons why my questions evolved the way they did was because in 2007, Hrant Dink was assassinated. The Turkish neighbors, for instance, the fact that some of our Turkish neighbors were in the funeral right by the church during the Hrant Dink's funeral, confirmed or like assured me that some people were still capable of like humanity or like compassion. They did take it as their personal pain also, but at the same time, some of our neighbors turned out to be very Turkish nationalists, in the sense that it changes me into thinking that this person that I thought was so close to me can one day turn against me. Because that person can, I know. If the right conditions are met, and I did study genocide, I am a scholar of genocide studies, now I know this, that if the right conditions are met, neighbors hurt neighbors. Both me and my husband, we decided that we are never going back again. Which is very interesting. I think it is very sad also. Probably understandable, but it's like you lose part of you. Even though most likely we weren't going to return to Turkey anyways. With this idea that if we want to, we can, that was gone. It was taken. So.
Oh, that was so scary. Oh, that's me.
Now I'm writing a book on, together with my colleague Melissa Bilal, I am editing an anthology on the history of Armenian feminism, and we are curating a digital archive. And my primary target is my daughters.
Mom?
Yes, are you
interested? Do you know where my dance shoes are?
Dance shoes?
Can I have some Milano's?
Milano's is over. I can give you another snack.
Because she's always doing something, so like she always tells us to leave and like not distract her because she has to work. So it would be like nice if they didn't work in our house. But like yeah. But they have to stay in our house because my dad comes back at work from at 7:30. So.
So on the one hand, I think they are internalizing all these ideas that I'm talking about, and many of the meetings happen in my house with Melissa. So they, without their knowledge, they are hearing about this work. But at the same time, they've cultivated this anti-feminist stance because they think I'm exaggerating everything. They associate it with things that take me away from them. So it's a very difficult balance.
Because they want us to make sure we remember our language.
If we don't speak it, then it's not gonna be anything.
Yeah, because we live in the diaspora, so.
What's diaspora?
It's like when you're Armenian, but you don't live in Armenia.
Because I want them to know that they are. Either I was not alone, I'm not a unique person, and then they can be both American, both girls, and Armenians, as well as feminine, or even if they don't call themselves that, they have a history.
Evo, yeah.